Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are going to start with our next session in the series, which is our work from home session. So you have users undoubtedly who work from home, or maybe you are considering a work from home program for your organization. This brings a lot of benefits across the board to both employers and to employees, as well as some challenges associated with delivering a remote communication strategy that is seamless to your employers and your customers. So the idea that geography is irrelevant should be simple in deploying a voice communication system across the footprint of where your customers are and where you operate as a business. So working from home, right, there's a lot of freedom. I used to work from home when I was in a previous role, actually with Mitel. I had a home office. Sometimes I'd work in my home office, and sometimes I'd work in the kitchen, and sometimes I'd work in a bedroom, and just depending on where I was. So lots of flexibility. Another pro is I didn't have to travel into work. When I was with Mitel, the closest Mitel office to my home was about a 2.5-hour drive. So commuting was unreasonable and unrealistic. And I think another, from an employer standpoint, working from home or developing a work from home strategy and program is good because you can now reach talented associates and talented employees from around the country, from around the globe. If you have a good, strong strategy for how you're going to get communications to your remote folks, you now have a larger pool of people with which to hire and to bring on board with your organization. So some of the cons associated with it are, right, communications is tough. Communications through a disparate workforce can be challenging. How will people know what other people are doing? How can we communicate internally, and how can our customers reach the right resource regardless of whether they're in a corporate office or working out of their home or working in a hotel room because they travel? So, some of the cons from working from home have traditionally been that communications. You can be distracted or easily at home. If you got family or chores to do, distractions can be tough. And also professionalism sometimes suffers when you have a work from home strategy. Many times at Mitel, we would have internal calls and people would be sitting in their t-shirts and flip-flops and baseball hats just working from home because they never got up and took a shower and got dressed for the day. So some challenges working from home. Today, we're really going to focus on the con of communications with the Mitel MyVoice Connect product. Now, we will be focusing in on the Connect product today. I do want to point out to some of our heritage MyVoice business customers that a very similar product with just a different name exists on the MyVoice business platform. Today, again, as I mentioned, we're going to be discussing the products associated with the MyVoice Connect platform, which is the heritage ShoreTel platform. But know that everything we're going to say here can be translated almost equally to what Mitel Heritage Blue calls the Mitel Border Gateway. It's a session border controller, an edge gateway device that allows phones and applications and soft phones to simply inherently connect to the corporate office without any extra VPNs or security postures or anything else. It's a built-in security protocol within the MyVoice business product, the MyCollab product, and the Mitel Border Gateway. So those are the product names that we're going to refer to throughout the presentation. And again, we're going to really focus in on the communication portion. So, right, what are some of those communication challenges? Remote clients typically require VPNs. VPNs, if you're a security guy, God bless you. Used to be one in a former life, and VPNs are tough to manage. You never really know what you're getting into. Sometimes user training and user adoption and just making sure that everything works correctly with home networks and firewalls and security postures, those types of things. So generally, when you're trying to work from home, you've got some sort of remote VPN client, which can be challenging. This also involves a couple more third-party components, right? If I've got a different manufacturer's VPN client and then my corporate communications platform, that's just some more third-party challenges with getting interoperability to function correctly. And sometimes if you're at home, right, if you're on that shared network, maybe if you're in a cable modem, historically cable modems are shared network devices, so you get you're at the whim of your neighborhood. So call quality might be good until about 3 p.m. when the kids get home from school and start downloading music and movies and online gaming, and all of a sudden you're competing for the neighborhood bandwidth. So voice quality can be a concern as well, which we have an answer for that with our My Voice Connect product. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this over to our resident expert, Mr. Jonathan Anderegg, who is going to take us on a journey through the Mitel My Voice Connect Edge Gateway and assist us just with understanding the architecture, the services that are delivered, and how you go about deploying and managing this solution, which will assist in deploying a robust work from home strategy. So, Mr. Anderegg, take it away.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. Good afternoon, everybody. Basically, when you're talking about the Edge Gateway, what it allows you to do is what's in the term in the industry is becoming kind of a common term. It's called phone home. It's where you have either a remote phone, a remote client, remote something that's connecting back to the corporate office. At some location, it's making that connection back. And in the Mitel Connect world, the My Voice Connect world, the Edge Gateway is what allows you to do that. It works with the IP400 series phones. So the older model phones like the 230, the 560, which are NGCP based, it does not work with those. It works with the 400 because those are SIP based, and this is a very secure endpoint connection that's taking place. With the Connect client, that's inherent to all versions of the client that you get nowadays with Connect. It comes built-in soft phone. And then if you're working with the Connect contact center, that client is now web-based, and it will connect seamlessly through an Edge Gateway. We have a lot of customers that are doing that, where they have people in the call center working from home, agents, and they're simply connecting to an Edge Gateway. I work from my house. I live on a barrier island off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina, and I work off of a DSL circuit, if that tells you something. And I work just like I'm sitting in the Richmond, Virginia headquarters of IPC Technologies. And trust me, I've been doing this a long time, and I'd be raising Cain if I couldn't get the same feature functionality that I had when I was in the office. So that second bullet that Eric has in there is very true. And the Edge Gateway is something that IPC can work with you. We can get it set up and configured. And once it's set up and configured, it's easy to work with. I mean, usually what we find is we will show somebody how to set up, 3 or 4 people using their MAC address on their phones for security purposes. And then once we show them how to do that, usually the people just pick right up on it. It's just like, you're assigning a MAC address, you have the extension information for that user out of Director. So it's pretty straightforward. And the last bullet he has on, he's talking about affordable, intuitive licensing. Well, the nice thing about the Edge Gateway is it's a virtual appliance. So it's included as soon as you upgrade to Connect, the ISO file is built in. It's included with the product. So there's no charge for it. You're basically building a CentOS Linux-based appliance that's available either on Hyper-V or VMware. The only real licensing you have to address is for the end user that's going to be connecting to it. Eric, if you go to the next slide, please. Okay, so basically, just kind of gives you a rundown what we were just talking about. Okay, it's fully integrated with Mitel My Voice Connect system because it's built in. The files are built into it. It's a virtual image. The next one is a big one. We're going to get further into this. We're talking about RAST, but basically, what RAST does is the type of technology that is becoming very popular. Traditionally, people think VPN connection and they think everything's IP based. Well, when you're using RAST, you're using UDP, and UDP gives you better call quality. And I will touch on that in a later slide, but just be aware that's the big reason that people are using RAST in this scenario. The system sets up its own. You can think of it like a VPN, but it's not really. It's using Turn for doing this. So it's very simple to configure and set up. It's just a matter of getting it set up in the DMZ. And IPC does this all the time. So it's easy. We work with your IT staff. We set up the security in the DMZ. We work with the firewall, set up the proper ports, and get you up and running. You can expand it. You can start out if you want to just try it out. You put in a small edge gateway, and then as you grow, if you decided you needed to add more users, just add more resources in the VM or Hyper-V environment. And I use the case, we actually have a large international customer that has an edge gateway in place. And they started out, they had like 10 or 12 users that are acting as agents on the call center down in Central America. And they were having problems with the old VPN concentrator type of connection. We upgraded them to Connect. We put in the edge gateway, and the call quality immediately improved, and they were very happy. They just wanted to try it out. So they started out with a very small configuration of an edge gateway, and have since grown to where they have over 200 people connecting remotely through the edge gateway to their corporate office. And as long as you have you give the virtual resources to it, you have the bandwidth, and bandwidth, as we all know nowadays, bandwidth's getting cheaper and cheaper. Works like a charm. So that's a real life example of where IPC has worked with a customer who wanted to have remote users and were having issues, and they wanted to have a better alternative. And we provided that through the edge gateway.
Yeah, Jonathan, it's interesting you sort of brought this up a little bit, but the VPN concentrator was the Connect's version of this remote strategy. That product has been end of lifed, and so the edge gateway is the replacement of that product. And it's just done in a much cleaner way. It scales based on your virtual resources, very easy licensing. You're not going to outgrow it. Comes embedded into the Connect software. So it does require that you be on Connect, and that is the version after 14.2. We know that we still have some customers that are on the older version of the Connect software 14.2. And so it does require that you be on the Connect build for the edge gateway to be supported in your environment.
Okay. You can move to the next slide, please. This is where you get into what exactly is this edge gateway device doing? That's always a $1 million question, and I could go in propeller head mode, but nobody really wants to hear all that. But basically, it's doing 4 things. Okay, it gives you RAS, which is a remote access secure tunnel. So if you think of the VPN, it's using RAS instead. That's using UDP instead of TCP. That gives you greatly increased capabilities for quality of voice. When you have the reverse proxy, what that allows the outside users to do is it allows the edge gateway to give them access to resources that would normally be on a server inside of your corporate network. It basically handles the connection handoff between the end user and that server by authenticating and using the reverse proxy settings. And obviously, when you have to get in, there has to be some way of getting in through the firewall. So it uses a type of connectivity called turn, which allows you to do NAT transversal, is the term we use in there, and it allows you to go back and forth through the firewalls using NAT to address them with the IP addressing. And then the last thing you see is web real-time communication, which is a big buzzword in the industry. That's WebRTC. And what that does is that allows the web-based, client-based type of applications to work with the edge gateway. So when you're dealing with the Connect client using a soft phone, looking at presence, looking for collaboration with the conference service appliance, Conference Bridge, or if you're using the call center agent, which is now web-based in Connect, it is utilizing WebRTC for secure connectivity and going back and forth through the edge gateway to get the resources that it needs for providing the day-to-day functionality. So kind of in a nutshell, that's a high-level overview of what this edge gateway device is doing for you. Again, it is virtualized. Again, it's based on Linux. So it doesn't have the usual, we have to do our Microsoft patch updates. None of that's involved. We build it, it runs, and it runs great. It's probably, with the Connect product we're going to do, so I've been doing this for a lot of years, and we were talking about how many. This was probably one of the products I was most excited about, was when the Edge Gateway was brought out. Because basically, it's almost like you're building, I can almost provide a cloud-like service, except to end users who are connected to my corporate network. They don't have, all they have to have at home is a phone or a client on a laptop, and they just plug it in and it connects back. So it's been a very interesting product, and it's been very well accepted in the industry. Next slide, please. Okay, and this is where we're going to get a little bit more. This is the slide I was talking about why RAST. Okay, VPN in general, when we hear, I'm one of the senior design engineers at IPC. When I hear people say, well, we connect our sites via point-to-point VPN, okay, I always cringe, because you never know how good the voice quality is going to be, because you have no control. There's no packet prioritization or quality of service available when you're doing point-to-point VPN. You're doing like an SD-WAN, somewhat on an MPLS network, then you can do some tagging of packets, you can do some quality of service. But just a straight VPN connection, you don't have any control of that, really. It's very limited in what you can do. Well, what RAS does is RAS uses UDP. And the reason that's very good is because what it does is, when you have packet loss in TCP, it's going to try to resend those packets. So you have a continuous, repetitive, okay, I didn't quite get that, let me send it again. I didn't quite get that, let me send it again. UDP is more tolerant of those lost packets. It says, I got enough of this that I can generate what they're trying to send. I've got enough of that information that I can cleanly do it. Yes, granted I lost a few packets, but okay, no big deal. I've got what I need to make this happen. And this really started out based in the mobility environment, where they had the mobility router and people were using RAS for making the connection back and forth between mobility router, which was previously, it was a company called Agito Networks that ShoreTel bought, and then Mitel bought ShoreTel. But they were using RAS technology for doing that connectivity from your endpoint through the mobility router back up to the PBX system. And so what they found is the call quality was so good on that, they said, we need to incorporate this into the edge gateway environment for our remote hard phone or remote client users. So that's how this has evolved. And that's why RAS is so important.
Yeah, real quickly to our attendees, if the mobility router is something of interest, we have a previous session that was recorded talking about Road Warriors and the mobile application and the mobility router as well. So if you would like to review that information, just let us know and we can get you the link to that recorded session.
Okay, next slide. funny, no matter how many times I hit my space bar or click the mouse, it's not moving that screen until I ask you to.
I have.
So you have power. Okay, so what's important again, and we touched on this earlier just for a minute, is the system will work with any of the 400 series phones. If you'll notice in the very top middle of the screen, that includes the small 420 series phones. I actually have a customer, that's insurance customer, and their end users at home wanted to have a physical phone at the house. And there's no real need for them to have a multi-line, 8-line phone. So they're using the 420 series phones, 2-line phones from their house for the users that want them. I mean, some of them are acting as agents also with the call center product, but they wanted to have a physical phone at the house. Again, you can see it works with the soft phone and the capabilities within the Connect client. And it gives you full integration. I mean, I can sit here right now and I can go online. We're going to show you all this in a little bit. I can go online. I can see present status people. I can IM with people just like I'm sitting in the office. It's fully integrated. Same with the contact center. The contact center agent that they're using is web-based, and it's the exact same one that somebody who was sitting in the corporate office or sitting in a physical office of the company would be using in the call center. And then the last one is it very easily allows the integration with the web conferencing, and that's again through the service appliance. And that again, we can, if and when we get further into that topic, service appliance is basically a conference bridge. It can be physical or virtual, depending on what your appetite is for how you want to use it. I can't remember the last time I sold a physical one, but it's there. But it allows you the full integration with the conferencing system through the Edge Gateway. We use this all the time internally at IPC. We have Eric loves to have meetings, and we are continuously get invites, and we have these meetings, and it's all done through the Edge Gateway for the remote users.
I wouldn't say I love to have meetings, but anyway. It sure is easy to have one.
Yep. Yes, it is. And if you could hit the next slide, please. All right. Basically, what we're looking at here is when we want to deploy the Edge Gateway. Different people have different ways they like to do things. Some people like to put stuff, they like to say, well, I'm going to have it totally separate. The My Border Gateway and the traditional My Voice business, a lot of times, depending on who the installer is, they like to put it outside of the DMZ. Recommended best practice for Edge Gateway and for My Border Gateway currently is that you put it inside the DMZ. That way you have 2 layers of protection. If they happen to have, this is what Eric touched on the second bullet, if they happen to have the service appliance, the Edge Gateway can be put in behind the firewall in the DMZ along with the service appliance, and they can run in parallel. They do not overlap each other. They do not interfere with each other. They got totally separate and behave very well together. And a big feature of this is by putting it in the DMZ, we can do split tunneling with the Microsoft Direct Access. So when you're using like the Office 365, Dynamic, things of that nature, the cloud-based products, we can work with the tunneling, doing split tunneling between the Edge Gateway feature functionality and the Microsoft feature functionality. So that's a big plus for this.
Yeah,
Next slide for me here.
Yeah, I like the fact too on this slide real quick. The Edge Gateway works with the hard phones, the client by itself, the soft phones, video calling, all those things. A very real world example. I was at a customer site earlier this morning and I actually had to call Jonathan, and I had my laptop with me and I simply launched and we'll show this a little bit because, you talk about the Edge Gateway and you're talking about the plumbing required to deliver a good experience, but what does that experience look like to the outside customer? Most of you are probably familiar with the Mitel Connect client, but we do just want to touch on a couple things today, because the Edge Gateway is the how we get to that seamless experience. But we just wanted to show maybe some of our newer customers or friends on the call today what that experience will look like for remote users. So we'll do a little demo presentation. But the story, I had to call Jonathan this morning, and I was at a customer site, and I was on their Wi-Fi on my Mac, and I simply clicked on my Connect client. I clicked soft phone option, and I clicked Jonathan's button on my application, and it made a call right to Jonathan. We could escalate that to a video call. We'll show a little bit quick picture of that as well. But in that case, Jonathan was a work from home person. I normally work in the corporate office, but at the click of a button, I move my presence from my physical phone sitting in my HQ office to my soft phone, which is wherever my laptop is. That could be at a cafe, a Starbucks. It could be at a hotel room if I'm having phone calls. So it helps a little bit of the road warrior as well. Because the technology is built into the applications, there's nothing else to launch. You don't have to launch this and then that and then this in some certain order. You just open up the application, tell them whether you want to use a soft phone or hard phone, and dial like you normally would. Just very quick and easy to move between a corporate identity or a corporate location, a home location. Maybe your home for the day is Starbucks, right? So it's very easy for end users to embrace. This is the next slide here, Jonathan.
Yep. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the big thing with the Edge Gateway is it's included with Connect. I mean, it's just and now it's an ISO file and works in Hyper-V or VMware. Generally when we have somebody who's interested in using an Edge Gateway, I will have a phone call with them. I will find out how many users, what type of needs do they have, what are they wanting to do with it, and I will send you the VMware Hyper-V requirements, number of cores, RAM, storage necessary for configuring that Edge Gateway device based on what your needs are. And always remember that you can grow it as you expand. You can always add resources to it, but there's no reason to type your resources initially if you're only going to have 10, 20 users on it. Just build a small Edge Gateway, and there you go. The licensing for this is based on the end users. When you get upgraded or migrated from 14.2 ShoreTel to Mitel Connect, that upgrade migration will give you an essentials license. For you to be able to use a remote phone or soft phone through the Edge Gateway, you must be on a standard or advanced bundle. The upgrade from an essentials to a standard is $100 retail. It literally is the difference in price between if you bought a standard license and essentials license. They don't charge you anything extra. It's literally just the cost difference between the two. And they have the ability, as if you need, you can order a remote phone license if you need it. But most people, they do is they just go ahead and they upgrade to a standard Connect license. I can't really remember the last time I've had to do an additional remote phone license for anybody, at least in the last year and a half. It's almost everybody just says for $100 I'll just upgrade it and get all the features of the Connect standard. And then obviously the advanced has it as well, so that's the big brother of the standard. That's kind of an overview of what the Edge Gateway is, what it does, how it works, and some of the functionality of it.
Yeah, that's great.
Eric at this point.
Well, think about the cost associated with deploying, right? The cost is a virtual machine. You already get the Edge Gateway software embedded into Connect, so there's no cost for that software. It's just a per user license. It's about $100 a user. If you're on Connect, you already have the Connect client, so your soft phones are there. If you have the 400 series phones already, you already have the right physical hardware to deploy. So the cost associated with going from no remote strategy to a full-blown strategy is a virtual machine to load the edge gateway into, a little bit of work with your firewall team to make sure you got the right security posture with DMZ, inside, outside firewall, those types of things, and $100 per user, and you have successfully deployed a remote communication strategy that should complement your work from home initiatives within your organization. Pretty exciting, pretty cost effective, easy to do. Some of the gotchas we've seen in the past. Audio is a interesting topic, is particularly in the communication space. So, latency and jitter and those things do matter, but the RAST technology minimizes connections that have poor quality internet bandwidth. So we're doing some things around shaping the traffic to be able to deliver better voice quality. Good headset and speakers are important. So you'll see in the picture where the gentleman in front of us has a USB plugged right into his laptop for a connected audio for the microphone and the speaker, which is in his ear, for a good quality remote strategy. So audio does matter. You want a good speaker and a good microphone if it's not built into your laptop. I don't know how I sound at the moment, but I'm actually speaking directly to my laptop, not with a headset on. And I've been told that the quality is pretty good on my the audio through my soft phone. So, just some things to consider, that with the software does need to be loaded on the home person's PC. So there's some potential there where you might have some administrative overhead with managing applications, particularly if they're not corporate owned computers. Some organizations like the bring your own strategy, where you're bringing your own home computer and logging in with a WebRTC or a soft phone. There are some plugins for Connect that launch as plugins into the Chrome browser. So instead of downloading the Connect software, you can essentially install the Mitel Connect plugin into the Chrome browser and use WebRTC straight out of your browser interface as well. A lot of times the remote agents, the contact center agents, like that because it allows them to save on screen real estate, so they don't have multiple applications for their communication requirements. So the plugin is available on Chrome as well, and that works really well. Any other gotchas you think, Jonathan, that you think our listeners might be curious? I do want to remind everybody that we are taking questions. So if you have any questions, there's a section in your GoToWebinar control panel where it has questions. Please feel free to submit those along the way. We will work to address any questions that you have at the end of the presentation, which we're getting close to. Jonathan, anything you'd like to add, sort of watch out, gotcha type things based on our experience, things to look out for?
No, like I'm saying, the biggest thing is just to make sure that you have the bandwidth, because people are connecting across the internet using this device. I had one user that told me they had plenty of bandwidth, and so we set up an edge gateway, and I found out they had a 2x2 from Comcast, which isn't exactly what I consider a pretty high-end internet connection for a corporate account with 50 people. So that, they had to upgrade to like a 5x5, which, helped the calls dramatically. So just, again, and those are the type of discussions I'll have with your IT department, with your, the department heads. If this path is chosen, if somebody wants to go to an edge gateway, we design and do this all the time. So it's just a matter of doing the front end research on, and then we can design it correctly.
Right.
And avoid the gotchas, as they are calling them.
So let's see here. Any questions we can answer? No questions so far. So let me do this. We're gonna take this. We're just gonna do a quick little presentation of the application. You've been hearing us speak to the Mitel Connect application. So I am going to start sharing my Connect application. So when you hear us refer to My Voice Connect, this is the application that we're referring to. For me personally, this is my standard layout right here. I have created some buttons down the side here. You can see that you don't know this, but half of the people listed down this line right here are remote workers for IPC. We embrace this technology wholeheartedly in delivering our ability to deliver remote engineering and remote sales and remote back office workers. So I've got a couple of folks down here where I can actually see that Mark is talking to Ryan. I can hover over them and see this. And both of these users are remote. They are not in our corporate office. So I have full visibility to my remote workforce, as well as the remote workforce has full visibility to me as well. I can see that Jonathan is in a meeting. We decided that we were going to not use our phones so that we could demo them for this purpose. So he's on a separate device for his audio for this call. And so if I've got, I've got my contacts here where I can look and place phone calls, those types of things. If I go ahead and I'm going to turn down my speaker. So Jonathan, you probably won't hear me if you answer your phone, but here I've got the ability to, simply dial. If Jonathan were on the phone, I can alert when available. Right. And this again is the experience that we're trying to deliver to remote workers. Because if I'm in the office and somebody next door to me is on the phone, I can hear them hang up, or someone down the hall, when I know that they're available, I want to be able to quickly give them a call. That's challenging if you're someone who works from home. You don't hear people in the hallways. You're not making conversation in the kitchens and by the water coolers and those types of things. So this allows you to have that same level of visibility across your entire organization, right? There's Mark, he's remote. Simon's remote. Kurt Wright, he's here in the office. A couple other folks, Jonathan there. So here, if I just, could right click and dial them. Let me go ahead and just place a quick phone call to them. Turn down my ringer volume here. So you can hear his phone ringing in the background. Right, and here, if I wanted to enable video calling, right, I've got I can turn on my video request here as well. Let's see, let me flip over to my link here. I've got keep switching the wrong stuff. I've got my instant messaging history here that I've had with Jonathan. If I wanted to record this, I could start the recording. If I wanted to add a participant, I could click add, transfer, push this to my mobile device, right? This is part of the mobility router capabilities, that if I need to continue this call, but I need to get my car and drive to my next appointment, I can move this call to my mobile device as well. And so, right, these are just some of the ways that I don't know where Jonathan is sitting. He could be in his home office. He could be in Alaska. He could be at the beach. I don't really know. Now, if I video called him and I see that he's in his bathing suit, I might suspect something, but we won't do that because I don't know if anybody wants to see Jonathan's legs at the moment. But just kidding, Jonathan.
Bow the boat fishing.
gives you the sense that we're all in this together, right? This is one application that gives me the full visibility of various groups, right? I've got different groups set up here, folks in my organization. If I don't have someone listed in here, I can just type their name, right? I see that Mr. Lutz is in a meeting at the moment. I could right click and, dial when available, or show different information, those kind of things. So just wanted to demo the application, because when we talk about that seamless experience, we want it, right? The technology, the edge gateway, is how we make this all work, but we make it work for the sake of our employees' ability to engage in their work from home environments. Just as though I'm calling the person next door to me in the corporate office, I'm clicking to dial my folks and have the full visibility of their status in my Connect application. Anything else you wanted to add or show with that, Jonathan?
Yeah, while you're in there, one of the things that we use heavily, and again, this comes down to what we showed on the slide, where you can have the service appliance conference bridge side by side with the edge gateway. I mean, I literally can be sitting at my house, just like Eric sitting there right now, he could click on the calendar over on the left side. He can click on that, and he can schedule an event just like I can for my house. I mean, we use this all the time. The account managers call up and say, "Hey, I need to discuss something with you," and I go in through my Edge gateway. It connects me to the conferencing, and I set up an appointment. We do share screen. I show them diagrams, videos. I show them white papers on this is how these things work and this is how it should work. And it's a very powerful tool and saves a lot of time just by having the Edge gateway for me to be able to do this from my house.
Yeah, you can see here. Yeah, you can see here right in the screen here, if Jonathan and I are working on something, I've got the ability right in the middle of this call, I've got this share your screen. That's done through that web conferencing appliance that Jonathan is referring to, that allows me to host conference calling and to share my screen real time. Hey, Jonathan, we can't get on the same page of how we want to design this system. Let me share my screen and tell you what I'm thinking about, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So allows that quick access to simply escalate this phone call into a web share, and then to even escalate it into a video call should we need to. Because sometimes seeing a person's face even adds to that, the remote workers' experience and their ability to feel connected to the corporate office. That's a common challenge that we hear through organizations is, how do I make my remote workers feel like they are part of headquarters, to feel that they have their voice heard, that they are connected, that they have the tools they need to be successful, that they get face time or real quality time with their managers and their coworkers. And this application facilitates much of that for our customers, given the Edge Gateway solution. So let me see here. I'm going to check and see if any questions have popped up while we've been showing this. You guys are not a questioning group this morning. I think that's a first. Usually we have a whole sling of questions. So if you liked something that you saw, you can contact your account manager to get some additional information on how you could investigate the Edge Gateway and the remote strategy, what might be required in your particular environment. And remember, it does require the Connect version. It's not supported on 14.2. It replaces the VPN concentrator. It's sort of the answer to replace that technology. And we would be happy to help you design and put a pilot together if you are considering deploying new or even expanding your work from home corporate strategy. So given that, and that we do not have any questions, I've been told that there is no penalty for ending a meeting early. So I'm going to give you 6 minutes back in your day. It's 2:54 according to my clock. I appreciate everybody's attendance. Jonathan, thank you for walking us through how that system's deployed, the technology, the security associated with how we secure that communications with the RAST and the VPN-like capabilities of the appliance. And please feel free to reach out. This session has been recorded. We will make this available on our YouTube channel. If there's someone else that you think might have want to see this and get some more information out of it, we'll make those available to all of our friends and family. So thanks everyone for your participation today, and we will talk to everybody soon. Thank you so much.